Hi, this is A New Nigeria with Wale Oluwade. This is your current affairs program where we critically examine the strategic issues bedeviling Nigeria's developmental aspirations and boldly offer practical suggestions on building the Nigeria of our collective desires. Today's episode promises to be engaging and exciting. My guest is already here to assist me in doing justice and also give depth and clarity to the topic of our discourse. As always, it's going to be evidence-driven, honest, bold, and a no-holds-barred conversation. Now, so let's get ready as we begin in earnest, and now let's get on with it. Today, we're examining the state of the nation, insecurity, economy, and the politics of 2023 elections. Nigeria is currently mired in the throes of multidimensional crisis, rampant insecurities, banditry, kidnappings, armed robberies, terrorist attacks, insurgencies, etc. Also, the economy is sinking further in the doldrums. Hyperinflation, huge external debts, general and youth unemployment, low revenues, poor electricity, and poor petroleum supplies. The currency is weakened further, and so on and so on. So, in the midst of this, we're preparing for general elections next year to effect a peaceful change of political leadership, ostensibly to steer the nation away from its current downward spiral and onto the path of tangible growth and development. So, why did Nigeria regress socio-economically drastically in the last 7 years? What are some of the pitfalls that led the country to its present terminus? How do we avoid the pitfalls of the past as we attempt a restart in 2023? And are the political class and elites demonstrating an understanding of the enormity of the task ahead and a readiness to effect the desperately needed change? These are some of the issues we're examining today. We'll take this short break, and when we return, we'll get right into the conversation. Stay with us, please. Welcome back from that short break. My guest is already here, Chief Ralph Oke Nwosu, the chairman of African Democratic Congress. Yes. Chief, good morning.
Thank you very much, Wale.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
So, Chief, I have a number of questions for you, so let's just get right into the conversation. Taking a scan of Nigeria as it is today, in comparison to 2015, in your opinion, and if I might add, if you can be unbiased or non-partisan, I hope you can, how do they arrive at this juncture? How do they arrive at this present scenario?
So thank you very much again, Wale. To people like me and a lot of us in ADC, we are not surprised. We've not been surprised. I mean, we started with the formation of ADC knowing that where we were going from more than 10 years ago will lead us to this place.
Really?
Yes, very, very clearly. Wow. And that is why when you hear Nigerians say, no PDP, no APC, there's a party that is already ready for this day. And we've prepared the ADC for this day. Unfortunately, I think our military past, after we struggled to get the democracy, a lot of people who took over, instead of being, a lot of them, didn't have the apprenticeship. The apprenticeship from people like Zeke, Awolowo, and so on. We lost some of those cream from the time the military were in government and so on. So, because apprenticeship is really critical and so on. It's just like you want to be a doctor and then, apprenticeship.
There's no profession actually where you don't have pupillage or apprenticeship, like you said. There's no profession actually.
So, unfortunately, the people who worked with these first generation politicians, within the period of 1983 and 1999, a lot of them couldn't play. And then what the new young people who entered politics, what they saw was this the military braggadocio in government. They say government has won pilot vehicles, convoy, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
and then intimidating people, and that continued. And then violent takeover of power. You know, people, we approached democratic system as power by force. And power by force happened in 2015. Although
Wow.
we say it's a democracy, but it's power by force.
What of 2007?
And this, the consequence of it. In 2007, we witnessed a good transition.
Because I beg to disagree respectfully, Chief, because President Yar'Adua, who took over after President Obasanjo in 2007, if I remember, did announce or admit to the whole world that the elections that produced him, using his words, were fundamentally flawed.
Yeah.
That was a self-admission. And because of that, hold on, Chief.
Election rigging,
Yes.
manipulation, and power by force.
Is that the same thing?
Almost, but here we had real violence. We had real violence of, you know, before 2015, the Boko Haram stuff had crept in.
Yeah.
And the politicians now decided to use violence, including, you know, importing all kinds of, you know, militia men to get people to fall in line.
Yeah.
I mean, before that, the usual Nigerian manipulations of, you know, ballot.
I think I get your point.
So.
I get your point.
Let
me ask this one, Chief. If you consider the colossal sums the federal government has sunk into the security and defense sectors of our economy, when you hear of the Kuje jailbreak that happened just about a week or thereabouts, and then the Kaduna train attacks, what comes through your mind? What goes through your mind, considering the trillions of naira we have sunk in the last 10 years, not just these 7 years of this current administration, even going way back to President Jonathan, up until now? If I give you a breakdown of what we have sunk into the defense and security sectors, and you hear of this kind of attacks all over Nigeria, not just the Kuje and the Kaduna train.
It's clear. Death of leadership. Death of leadership. The country is not being governed. We have a set of...
But there are people all over manning the different levels of governance.
We have a set of political operators who feel that the next election is more important than governance.
Wow.
And
so they abdicated responsibility.
Clearly. You can see your politicians, when you have speakers, when you have leaders of government preferring to go to a foreign country to do their parties, for their medical checkup, for purpose of education, and so on and so forth, and they brag about it. What do you think?
And that leads me to this next point, Chief. As we speak, electricity distribution is abysmal. Fuel queues all over. Students of tertiary institutions all over Nigeria, federal government owned, have been home for going to 5 months now. That means ASU has been on strike. Inflation has wiped out disposable incomes of most Nigerians. I mean, it would be an insult to say the average. Most Nigerians, you know, and so on and so forth. Yet, in the midst of this, and I'm sorry to say this, you politicians, does it seem to you that, like, you guys appreciate the pains, the agonies of Nigeria? Because we just witnessed your primaries and your conventions, and to the discerning, you know, to the Nigerians, it was just business as usual. Are you guys bothered? Because, sorry, you see pictures of elected government officials, just like you said, going to foreign lands. Their kids are graduating from universities there, and they don't just go and do it quietly and come back quietly, no, you know, appreciating that what they are doing is wrong, but they splash it all over social media, all over the conventional media, rubbing it in the faces of Nigerians whose kids can't go to university for 5 months. Does it appear to you that you guys appreciate what is going on in this country?
Anyway, I want to make one correction. I'm not a politician in that sense. I'm a political missionary. I'm a missionary in the process of
How do you mean?
nation building. And I've invested myself. I've invested everything I have to make sure that we reconstruct the political space.
I like the word reconstruct.
And the culture. So we saw the culture going down. We were able to come together in 2005, and we said we want to build a political party that will salvage this country, because we saw the country going down, and so on. So what has happened so far is not really a big surprise to me.
Wow.
But anyway, the time has come. It's now everybody's eyes been opened, and the Nigerian people have started to say, come on, with all your money, with all your everything, enough is enough. Party A and Party B, who have dominated government, that they don't want them anymore, and they are beginning to manifest them.
Nice point you made there. Let's come back to politics. You're a politician, even though you say you're a missionary politician. There's a phenomenon I have observed as a keen watcher and keen student of politics, global politics, not just Nigeria. In Nigeria, it's a peculiar situation. Our brand of democracy is peculiar, it's weird, you know. Why do I say so? The ideologies of, there are 18 parties right now, their ideologies seem to be amorphous. And I'm borrowing the word of a professor who was here when you sat, 2 weeks ago. The ideologies, you cannot distinguish between the ideologies. And that is the reason why cross-carpeting is a norm. Someone is in A in the morning, in the evening is in B, the next morning is in another one, because all they're looking for is power. Why is this so? And take this together. When you tell us why it is so, maybe you also help us with what is your own ideology of the ADC.
Okay, now it's wrong to say that the ideology of the 18 political parties are amorphous. But you can say the parties that have been in government, their ideologies, if they have any, may be said, they're not even existent. But the elites, and when I say the elites, I also mean that's almost in every profession, including, and more worrisome, the people the people in the media. The people in the media who should know. I mean, they don't, because they are so deep into this party, PDP and APC as the ultimate. They've not taken time to look at the emerging parties. ADC, for instance, our ideology is very clear. You know, eclectic. Eclectic has to do with, one, pragmatism, looking at things the real way, and what is possible considering your situation, and being intentional in ensuring that your people get what they want. We don't belong to the old school ideology of conservatism or this, but what is practicable for us to have the advancement we want. For instance, in ADC, our vision is clear, and once your vision is clear, you craft the pathway to achieving that vision. ADC says in 20 years, if we take over power by 2023, in 20 years, Nigeria will be a superpower economy. Superpower economy is you do everything, and if you're on the eclectic ideology, you do everything that is pragmatic, everything possible that will lead you to this great vision where everybody wants to go, and so on. If you want to tweak a little of socialism into it, that will enrich the process, you do that.
Let me ask you specifically, Chief, so that this does not just become like a theoretical discourse. What's your party's view or position on restructuring? Specifically, when I say restructuring, because people have come to say, oh, is it financial, is it... The structure of Nigeria stays currently, can it make this country to make progress? So what's your party's thinking on that? Secondly, do you believe in strengthening local governments, being totally autonomous from the overbearing influence of the states? Because as it is currently, correct me if I'm wrong, the failure the complete disappearance, as it were, operationally of local governments is largely responsible for the insecurity and the collapse of our economy as it is today in Nigeria.
You can say that again. In the wisdom of those who crafted the Constitution, they created the local government
joint.
Our local governments, local area council. Yeah. And the essence of this area council is so that government can get down to the grassroots. Unfortunately, the set of politicians we have now have created a culture where it's okay for the governors, to collect allocations, allocations that belong to the local government, and they get the people they anointed to be local government chairmen to come and sign for them and transfer the whole money to them. That's criminal. Of course. But it's happening in every state of the federation. So how will the grassroots economy grow? The state governors have also, they went down, they now collect revenues from the markets, market that belong to the local government, to the town square, to almost everything. How do you expect the local government? So the local government is just there.
Let me also ask
you. So at times, when people would tell us that some people are experienced, because of their experience, that's why you want to make them governor, or you want to make them senate president, or the president. As experience in what? In the dirty culture, the corruption, and so on. Is that the culture we want to maintain? How can we move forward? I would want you, who is here, a fine journalist, and so on, to come and be my president, so that you can change the complete perspective to governance.
Exactly. Let me also ask this. Your party, what is your party's views on free and qualitative education from primary to secondary education? I think there was a party candidate the other day on television I was watching who was saying the presidential candidate is going to give quality education up to university level. That is one. Secondly, what about free healthcare across?
No.
I mean, not necessarily tertiary healthcare, but I mean primary.
Now, what is fundamental to? I told you our eclectic ideology.
Not many people understand the word eclectic. Oh. That's why I'm breaking it down.
Okay. Now, our eclectic ideology is one. What is critical to us, the whole Nigerians, when they buy into our vision of in 20 years we want to be a superpower and so on. What are relevant? One, we must have young people who are sound, educated.
Exactly.
That's why. But quality primary and secondary education can serve anybody for life.
Of course.
That's why. Then we want to get into part of our challenge has been we want light. Electricity.
Exactly.
What is the deliberate effort we're making for our schools to do research, conduct research, alternative energy, and so on? Why are we always for electricity, which we are still, almost at the basement of? We are waiting for other nations to do research or to transfer the dilapidated energy source that they have to us. Meanwhile, we have the universities.
Exactly.
We should fund research because, as a matter of fact, Nigeria can invent a new way of providing cheaper electricity.
Absolutely.
And before you know it, because now we need it seriously, and we are strategically putting our resources into researching different new ways, innovating and so on and into it. By the time we get it, if we are putting 1% into research of the things we need, for instance, you find out we may discover something that will change the entire concept of electricity in the world. We will be able to supply our own electricity, and the world will now need us because ours is now cheaper and more resourceful.
To take this short break, please stay with us. Welcome back. Chief, now, as we begin to round up, there was a rumpus in the aftermath of your party's primaries.
Yes.
One of the leading aspirants, let me be open, let me be honest with you. I was stunned when I saw the results. I couldn't believe it, because the popular opinion was that, you already had a candidate in waiting who was just merely going to show up and be crowned, the candidate. But then it turned out differently. And this individual, Professor Kingsley Moghalu, now, didn't take the loss. He didn't take it I'm not privy to what went down beyond what I've read, but he did say in his letter of resignation addressed to you that I have resigned because the process and conduct of the party's presidential primary on June 8th, 2022 at Abeokuta revealed a fundamental clash of values between me and your leadership of the party. I know he lost. The winner, Dumebi Achiku, won by 900 and something, and he scored 500 and something. That gap is huge. It wasn't even close. But what was Professor Kingsley talking about? Let's do this short, maybe a minute or two, so that we can take a couple of more questions.
That's critical. That's not something you want us to do in a minute or two.
Just try.
But let me say, we all, as leaders, we all have to be able to manage our emotions. Emotions. Okay. Management of emotion is critical to leadership. And that's why they say 75% of success in leadership has to do with emotional intelligence. It's critical. Some of us, we can have wonderful brain, hot brain and so, but if you're not able to manage your emotions and understand your environment, you may not be a good leader. Number one. When people criticize my integrity, I say, I built my integrity before any of you got into politics. God has blessed me. I'm doing a missionary job for Nigeria. Part of people who had called me on Moghalu's brilliance, and so President Obasanjo called me. Wow. He's my friend, and then he's my friend and my father, and also a good friend to Moghalu and other leaders. So now we took ADC presidential convention to OOPL to go and cheat.
That's the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library.
Presidential Library.
Yeah.
A legacy center like that to go and devalue,
perpetrate a fraud.
And perpetrate a fraud. We won't do that. We had 2,050 delegates who voted. And these 2,050 delegates are not people like you and myself. But they represent a cross-breed of the Nigerian population. Tomorrow, if we are going to vote in any election, people of your caliber can vote differently, but the people on the street who are feeling the hunger will vote differently. People who came to vote, our delegates are microcosm of the macro Nigeria population. Exactly. And they demonstrated what they wanted. And what I continue to say, and so is that the heart is critical. The heart is, we may all expect this, and so on. But before God and man, I never told anybody where to vote. I never told anybody where to vote. And to remain very, very clear, I was focused on the election. We spent the money we don't have to bring television to cover it so that it's transparent. And so on. And the process was completely transparent. One thing that Professor Kingsley said recently was that the party was supposed to fund certain things, which because
logistics, transportation of delegates,
which because we didn't fund, because we didn't fund it. That's why
perhaps the winner was able to come in from there.
Yes, I can tell you what actually happened. I don't want to talk too much because we are actually working on reconciliation. Kingsley is my friend. Initially I thought you lost the election, you should be allowed to express your emotions and so. I believe that eventually reason will prevail, and he will withdraw some of the things
he said.
he has said.
I'm glad you said that.
I can tell you 100%.
I'm glad you said that, because part of one of the things I've observed, like I said, our democratic process is weird, is that people lose elections. Nobody loses elections in Nigeria. That cannot be democratic.
Exactly.
There must be a winner and there must be losers in an election.
Now,
so you must prepare yourself, that when you go into a contest, you either win or you lose. We'll take this short break, Chief. Please stay with us. Welcome back. And here are my closing statements. As we look towards 2023 general elections, it is important that we unveil the political parties and allow Nigerians form an opinion on those who manage and administer them, as well as present to us the candidates during elections and who also become elected leaders afterwards, if they win. Remember, if you don't take an active interest in politics, politics is already determining your lives. And if you think you're too polished or refined for politics, then charlatans and crooks will get into politics, and the results is what we see all around us. I believe in a new Nigeria, and it is possible. And those are my closing thoughts. Now, that's the program today. Remember to follow me on my different social media handles. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can watch this and other videos at your convenience. Drop your comments also. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.